Hello everyone. This video is a continuation of a couple more recent videos, and it spurs from many things. I saw a video today by a guy. I was talking to a gentleman that talks to me and sends me some letters and has some really neat views on like Matthew 24 and really is getting into what it's saying, really trying to figure it out. Not based on theology or religion, much like myself, and I'm glad we found each other. But, what does it say? And I was recommending to him, or her. I mean, I think it's male. I really don't know. I can't tell. Honestly, I mean, it could be male or female. I don't mean to be rude, but I just don't know who the person is exactly. But the person is really trying to figure out what it means. And they're going through exactly what I've been going through maybe a couple of years ago, where all these people are telling them things. The religious institutions, the books, wherever he's sourcing the information. I know he said pastor. And they tell him these things that just can't be. And I think that's a good thing. Because, and I'll show you this picture again in more detail as to why you're going through it. And if you haven't been through it or have already been through it, you'll begin to understand more clearly, as I think I do as I look back, that there's worlds, there's different worlds. There's a world we're in, but this isn't the finale of our lives. This is just the beginning. And we have somehow seen through the nonsense by accident, but through faith. And this faith has brought us to something that is real. But it doesn't exist by looking out your eyes upon the world. No. It's behind you. You can't see it. You weren't looking at it. You think it's in front of you, but it's not. The world is in front of you, but you must turn your back on this world. Then, and only then, can you begin to see things clearly. Because the world screws it up. And I think this photo right here shows you. Here, towards the left, this is something in German. Reich der Welt. I think that's what it says. But it's got an American flag. It's got a Euro flag, I think. But broad, when Jesus said broad is the way that leads to destruction, when he's talking about the narrow gate. And I'm going to have to paraphrase because I don't remember exactly what he says, but off to the left, this is the world. This is what you're born into. This is what you see. Clowns and happy times and some seedy things, but life as we know it. Churches, casinos, we have here another thing that we won't get into. We don't, but the finality of the end. I mean, this is the real end on earth. It's just destruction. It's just you're going off a cliff and you don't even see it. And you think here, and I want to emphasize this church, you think, religion. Great. I like Jesus. Was raised Catholic. I like the Catholic Church, or I don't like the Catholic Church. Maybe I like the Protestant Church. And that will be my way towards God. But as you see, it's fault. It does not bridge. There's a schism, between that world and our world here. These are both our realities, metaphorically, but the church The church is not the way. Why? Because it's a parallel reality of what is real. What happens here doesn't happen here on the right. And it doesn't bridge. You can't use that to get there. Only here. This little narrow, you leave all your stuff behind. I use the analogy, you start to turn your head towards the right and you start to see some light. And you go, what is that? What is that? And you keep turning. And as your faith starts to build, you see it clearer and better. And you realize that this reality is not real. It was this reality, but you didn't see it. And looking back, I can't really tell you. You see this guy, he's got his hands up. He's happy. I can't really tell you the exact date that happened, but I can tell you that happened. It's like, yes, I'm in. This is happening to me. I can tell. I'm pretty sure I passed some sort of line. I was let in. And it leads to, it's got all this other stuff. I don't exactly know what this painting means exactly. But, here we have 5 crowns, and I don't know exactly what that means. But the point is this part right here. Your reality. And this person that I've been talking to last night is being told all these things. And it's starting to become clear that doesn't make any sense. Embrace it, folks. Embrace it. That's how you learn. Because that, in my opinion, and people hate me, they ask me this question all the time, and I say, no, that's not possible. No, that's not possible. That's not what it says. Okay, smart guy. Okay, what does it mean? I don't know. But it doesn't mean that. And that really, really upsets them because we want an answer, and we're not always going to get an answer. There's parts about Matthew 24, like I said, with the days of the Son of Man will be just like the days of Noah. I don't exactly know what that means. I have some theories. Something is going on there, and it's not what they say, but I don't have an answer for it. But I know it happened in the first century. All this happened in the first century. It had to. It had to have happened. That's just the way it is. But embrace what you're going through, because I went through it. You learn so much. You learn so much of what it's not. And I reckon with this gentleman or lady, sorry, I don't want to get on this topic again, but this person that I think it's time to use artificial intelligence. Perhaps. Think about it. And it happened to me 3 months ago from now. I started to use it in a sense that I would talk to it, just like I would talk to someone I'm asking. I'd ask Bart Ehrman a question. I'd ask Steve Gregg a question. You could ask questions of anyone, but you're going to get an answer. But with this, it's non-biased, and you can actually program it. And I would like to show you how to do that when I go over to it. But you have this information is factual. It's documented. Now, if you ask it to look up the Constitution, it can do that. Can it harmonize, the Second Amendment and tell you exactly, the meaning of it and the history? No. But you can say what words are used, what language was it used, what are the meanings of those words, and it's the exact same thing with the New Testament. And that's what I'll be showing you later, because it is the first step to beginning to understand what is said. It's the first step. Those words have meanings and range of meanings, and you'll find out real quick that generation doesn't mean an entire race, just in this one part of Matthew, which you could probably tell, and was one of the things I'm like, well, wait a minute, how come all of a sudden it means something different here in Matthew 24, but in the rest of Matthew it means something completely else? Even when in Matthew, I think it was 1:17, it says, specifically, What was it? Generation. It actually describes how it's determining how it's using generation, and they pull a fast one on you. And that's what gets me into this other video that I saw today. So you have to understand that nothing in this world exists. This is your world. This is it. This is what you were born into. But it's not real. It's real. But in terms of God, he's not over here. Okay? He's over here. But you don't see it because you're looking here. You're looking at the balloons. You're looking, looking at all this stuff. You're not looking over here. It's invisible. And you cannot understand any of this stuff properly without his permission. He needs to accept you. Not through a church, but by faith, by showing him that I really do want to hear what you have to say, and I want to do it. I'm serious. Yeah, I just robbed a bank and shot everyone, but I'm still serious. Do you understand? It doesn't matter who you are or what you did. It's if you're serious. That's why most people, at their lowest point, turn to God. Because it brings them to the truth. Everything else is cast aside. If you're in an airplane and all of a sudden you're over the Atlantic Ocean and boom, it goes dark and just wind gushing in and you're spinning around in all kinds of different directions. You don't know where you are or which way is up. And the first thing that comes out of your mouth, the first thought in your head is what? Oh my God, save me. You dig in with your claws to anything substantial. And what is it? God. Some people can say, well, that's just through training. People have trained themselves, throughout their childhood to pray to God and all that. But I beg to differ. And that's how instinctive it is. Think about that scenario. Think about any scenario. You're driving down the road and you're about ready to, you sneeze and then you look back up and you're about ready to just drive off the cliff. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? Save me. Oh shit, save me. God save me. That's how instinctive it is. It's built inside of you. But it's hard to see when, life is going on. It masks everything. It obscures everything. Right? Let's go to this guy. What's his name?
Attacking your faith, I want to offer a little bit of a personal reflection in this video. I've been a youth pastor. I was a youth pastor for almost 10 years, and I trained as a Bible scholar, and all that training all combined took me about 15 years. And it's funny because as I reflect on those two roles I've held, one as a church leader, one as a Bible scholar, in one, as a pastor, I routinely lied to people. And it wasn't intentional. Like, looking back on it, I wasn't trying to lie. I just didn't know. I just didn't know any better. And I've had some people say things in my comments along the lines of like, why are you so critical of Christianity? Why are you attacking Christianity?
That's about as far as we need to go. But I think you should watch the rest of this video. I didn't watch it all the way to the end, but that part really brought forth, I wanted to make this video, and I said, I need to make another video because this is exactly what this person and I was discussing last night. And I told you about this before. This guy spent, what did he say, 15 years? 15 years of brainwashing. It doesn't take 15 years to read a book. It doesn't take you 15 years to understand a book. But it takes you 15 years to be able to manipulate properly what it's saying in a way that comes out, that's in line with their beliefs. Some of them are general, like that DZ debate guy. It's just like a generalization. And then you just slap, Catholicism on it or whatever. and you're good to go. And they're lying to you. And then he goes after this Bart Ehrman guy in a good way. And, that guy's full of shit too. Even more so. He's exactly what he was trained to be, because he was trained to be that way as well, except he changed. He's now on the opposite end of the same spectrum. The power brokers of the world brought him to the people to complete their little plan. Just a little further. Because they intentionally make Christianity, which is a man-made religion, false. They make it false. 99% of Christians don't even know what Jesus said. And if you tell them that, they'll tell you you're a Satanist. And I know there's people that really, really do care and do want to know Jesus, but they don't go to God. They just ask someone, well, this guy has a degree, so I'll ask him. He's so smart. This guy spent 15 years, and now he's an atheist. And that's why Bart Ehrman became popular, because people started to fall out of the church. Okay, what's the answer? Oh, Bart Ehrman. There you go. At the time, anyway. People have figured out that he's, a moron. And none of the stuff he says is true either. I figured that out myself. Not only when I did, I started to hear some things about what other people were saying about him. Like they figured it out too. But I never became an atheist. Everything strengthened. Everything was an education. Because I'm under the tutelage of the greatest teacher of all, and that's God. The person that let me in is the person who's answering the questions I have. I don't have to do this. I want to. I want to know what Jesus said. And that was a part of it. I've never been overwhelmed. Nothing's ever been unclear. But I don't know everything that happened. Probably never will, and I don't think that I need to. But I still do ask, and I get answers. These people, like the person who was telling me about their pastor, they'll just tell them things that's in line with their views. It's like a party line, like politics. Well, I'm a Republican, so I have to say Republican stuff, or I'm going to get in trouble. People won't donate to me anymore. I'll lose my job. I have to go get a real job. Stuff like that. And it's the same thing with the church. The more school, the more education you get, the more poorer your options are for jobs. If you think about it. Unless you just want to wait tables and it doesn't matter. But when you get into this narrow of an occupation, you have to toe the party line. If you say the wrong thing, you're gone. If you're a priest, you can have sex with all the children you want and they'll protect you. But if you say the wrong thing that's out of line, you're gone. The Virgin Mary isn't really, shut your face, you're gone. Someone else toes the party line, cool. Enjoy your camping trip this weekend with all those kids. They don't care. As long as you toe the line. And when you don't, they will turn on you. That's why everyone hates me. Because I'm not really a nice guy to these people. Because they're lying to me. I don't know about you, but I don't like people lying to me. And then when you talk to them about it, they get crazy and they double down. And I do it on purpose. Not to screw with them, but just to really give them an opportunity to see how they'll react. See if they'll say, well, maybe, I don't know, could be, could not be. And I get that sometimes. There are people that just say, well, Maybe, maybe not. I don't really know. And I think that's a fine answer. But people that just double down on it and get all crazy with it, those are the ones that, they got a problem. And it's going to be with God right now. But if you are praying to God all the time and you are talking to him, don't worry about where you go or who you listen to or anything, because it's all a learning experience. You'll come out cleaner on the other side. Don't fear that you're going to become an atheist or something. And I really don't think that's even a question that I ever had in my mind. And I don't see that in other people when I talk to them. But embrace it. Have fun. Really. Don't be afraid at all. Don't be scared. Let people talk all they want and listen to them. Just sit there and listen to them. Say, okay. What about this? What about that? See what they say. Okay. Don't pop up and say, you liar. I never really did that either. I just sit there and let them do it. What about this? You start to put the pressure on a little. Oh, really? How do you do that? Because it's a preposition, and you have to change that. How do you change the spatial meaning of a preposition in the sentence? How did you do that? Can you explain that? I mean, there's going to be a point where they can't go any further because their Bible colleges didn't teach them that stuff. Because if they did, it would contradict what they're saying because it's the truth. I wanted to show you something real quick. Where was it? This guy.
Take the next step in treating your...
Oh, geez.
For the large...
That's actually John Ioannis Konstantakokis. This person is at the University of Athens in Greece. Athens, Greece. And I want you to understand what Greek really is, this ancient language. And this is kind of before Koine too as well, but he's a purist. I mean, if in discussing what I'm trying to separate myself from him. But yeah, I mean, if he was around a barroom and he was talking, his head would explode. Okay, he's one of those types of people. He would go crazy because it's such an insult what these New Testament scholars are doing. They just, generation means race. Moving on, and everyone believes it and they repeat it and then you tell them, no, it's not going to, and then they just go crazy. I went to college. I studied for 15 years. How dare you, sir? But this is what real Greek sounds like. This is in detail what it's like.
Broad epic narrative. It consists in prosodic meter in ancient Greek. We have combinations of long and short syllables, a particular combination of a number of long and short syllables, usually 3 or 4, makes what we call a pous, a podas, a metrical foot. And the combination of a number of such metrical feet makes a line, a metron, as we say.
In short, what he's saying is these things actually have rules, and there's history, and it's a rich history, and it's connected to things. You can't just come in and say, inside means outside, magically. Generation means race, just in this one spot for some reason whatsoever. I can't even explain why, but it does, and everything's different. They manipulate you. And that gentleman that's 15 years, I guarantee you the people that were teaching this stuff wasn't this guy. It was some moron who was also brainwashed and lied to. And you have to understand what that guy was saying. He didn't do it on purpose, but he did it on purpose. And maybe, he dated the wrong woman or, did something to somebody, or I don't know what his story is, but he became an atheist. Same thing with that Justin over DZ debate. Same thing with Barter. And all of a sudden these people, just magically become an atheist or agnostic or whatever. I don't care. and they go a different way. Because everyone does that, right? You've been a lawyer for 20 years, then all of a sudden you're like, hey, I don't believe in the law. I'm going to go build schools for the poor. Or better yet, I'm going to start a YouTube channel and complain about it for 7 hours on a Friday night because I ain't got nothing else going on. It doesn't make any sense what these people are doing. And I want to play some... Listen to him in the seriousness and the pronunciation of the language of what... And this is more like classical Greek. This is more like Homer or someone else who's famous around that time, maybe a little later period. But Koine derives from Attic Greek, which is Athens, and its genealogy, to use that word properly, is rooted in Koine Greek's genealogy is rooted in Attic Greek, which is Athens. This is what it sounds like. I mean, it's real. This is a real language. It even thousands of years later, it still exists. I don't know if this guy would be able to go back in time and give someone a lesson, but they seem to have it down pretty well. But this world that he's in is completely disconnected from the educational Christian world, if you want to call it that, of New Testament studies. It has nothing to do with each other. Nothing. I asked Barterman again, how do you do that? He won't tell you that, well, it's just theological. It's a theological cheat of why I did that. He won't tell you that. They won't tell you the truth. And they know what the truth is because they don't tell you. They don't say, well, linguistically it's impossible. I did it theologically. You cannot do that. Listen to the language. Remember what I just played you? It's not something you can just take and turn into something else. It has rules. It has thousands of years of history. It can't be changed. I can't say, oh, the sun, that's really the moon. And the moon's really the sun. Some things are more obvious. Some things are not. The entire institution of Christianity, anything and everything, the academics, atheist, Christian, it doesn't matter. They are, all of them, every single one, lying to you. They're lying to you. And I can say that with confidence. Okay, maybe they're only lying to you 50% of the time, but they're still lying to you, aren't they? How do you get around all of that? You must go to God. All of this is on purpose to fool you and to trick you because you are not serious. So if you want to believe in Joseph Smith, you're going to get Joseph Smith. And he's not going to try to dissuade you. But when you go to him, and you are a Mormon, all on your own, seriously, and ask, what do you want me to do? I'm here to serve you. I'm here. I am your humble servant. Tell me what to do. I'm coming to you. I'm yours and no one else's. And I'm actually serious about it. It's not just because my boyfriend broke up with me, or I lost my job, or I ran out of drugs and I'm having this moment of clarity. And maybe I am, but I'm actually serious. Me personally, it took me 11 years to pull my head out of my rear end. But it was necessary. It was necessary for me to go through all these things. You will never figure it out on your own. It's impossible. That's what all this nonsense is for. Idiot morons like... Oh, these commercials, huh? this quack, what's her name? Robin Faith Walsh. I'm a scholar. And then you got this guy, the Derek Lambert. You know, I mean, this chick is by far the dumbest moron on the planet. And this is New Testament. This is the cavalcade of loser moron hacks that is, you know, this Bart Ehrman organization that he's built up. I've noticed this. I haven't really got into it, but I notice he just surrounds himself with dopes like this.
In the New Testament, we find this we find
What's her name?
it was real, like in my mind.
This chick, Paula Friedrich, PhD, the biggest, dumbest fuckhead you'll ever meet in your life. The other one, the one before, is even more bizarre. But the thing is that they have something that's 2,000 years old that, believe it or not, is as simple can be. Clear. What Jesus was saying was clear, non-emotional, and true and real. That's why Jesus is real. People try to, Jesus was a creation of the Caesar, you know, to do this and do that. Gnosis. There's nothing to figure out. I gotta get rid of this chick. I can't stand looking at her. I'll go back to this picture. You know, gnosis, because they see some sort of connection, and in a way that they're actually correct. They really are. They see these. They know it's something. But what? Caesar, you know, that's where everyone divides. And this is on purpose, again, with God. He'll just allow you to be in this black hole, like a turd getting flushed down the toilet in a circle, until you come to him. And then he will rescue you. You may have a long road ahead of you, but I guarantee you that day will be better than the best day of how you were before. And you begin a process towards this. And one day you will make it. But you're over here right now. Just walking around, checking things out. You're at the church getting married. You think this is going to happen. This is a guy that just became an atheist. Okay? These people are Christians. They just kind of in and out, in and out, in and out. This guy's like, I'm going to be, didn't work. Well, then there's no such thing as God, right? But I can't overemphasize this enough. It's so simple. It's so instinctive. And that's to go to God and ask him. But you have to be serious. He knows if you're not going to be serious. So if it doesn't work, it's because you're not serious. But if you are really serious, continue. And for those just starting out, don't listen to me. Don't listen to anyone. Just isolate yourself and only talk to God about these things. Live your life, go pray, and just talk to him, just like you would a therapist. Oh, God, I drive today and some guy cut me off, and I got so pissed off I wanted to kill that guy. Why? These are the type of questions you ask about. My husband's being a real asshole. What is his problem? Honestly. Take it to him. Everyone says Jesus is God, and then other people say Jesus isn't God. Which one is it? You'll get an answer. I got one. But I can't sit here and explain it to you. The answer to that question was, he is the Son. That's it. He is the Son. What's that mean? I don't know. How does that relate to the Trinity or John 1:1? I don't know. Who cares? That's the answer. I don't need to concern myself with other things. That's just the way it is. When talking about ChatGTP and starting off in the proper place. What you need to ask it is, I think it makes a noise when I do this. I think what it does is, but what you want to say here is, you don't want to be biased. You want to just say, look, I'm going to ask you questions based on the language of the New Testament, the words used, the meanings of those words properly, and the range of meanings of those words. And that's it. You would say, I don't want any theology. I don't want any opinions, commentaries, nothing. Just the strictest form of the rules that govern the language that the New Testament is written in. And that's it. And start asking it questions. Start with the language. That will build the context. But it will build it properly. And then you'll say, oh, what's a denarius? And then you'll ask it, oh, what's a denarius? Or maybe you can go to Google, ask what's a denarius? What is Capernaum? What is a temple? What's what do they call it? Sukkot, or, what's the day? What's the week of unleavened bread? What is that? Then you start to add these things in. But you already know this stuff. Like the person that contacted me, they already have a good understanding of what's being said. So they can go through it. It just like, his pastor can tell if something is kind of funny. You need to make sure you word your questions properly. But this is the greatest tool, as I told that person, that a disciple of Christ has, because it will give you the truth. I can go up here and say, what does Catholicism say about et cetera, because I'm a Catholic. And it will give you an answer. But you know what? Catholicism is contradictory of itself. So let's say you get an answer, and then you say, which no one ever asked, less than 1% of people that ask GTP about anything religious, far less than 1%, according to ChatGTP, does not ask, what did Jesus say? What did Jesus mean? According to the New Testament. It's always, what do the Catholics say Jesus said in Matthew, blah, 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 blah. What do the Protestants say Jesus said in Matthew 24, blah, 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 blah. Do you understand? Then we take that information and you ask it to compare it to what it really said. Guess what? It's wrong. And that's what's so great about it. Because it can get you the answer better than anyone else on this planet. These are facts. That guy that was speaking Greek, Ionis, his name is John. He's speaking as close to the purest form of Greek that he knows. Those are facts. Not all of it. Some of it's kind of, well, maybe this, maybe that. But the things that are documented, the things that he writes, it can pull that up and analyze it for you. It can analyze the New Testament. It can analyze the Old Testament. In seconds, you can get an answer. And then you could start to look into what it's saying properly for yourself. "99% of the people on this planet who are religious or quote-unquote scholars, they cannot do that because they're full of shit. They can't use artificial intelligence properly. Because the way I told you to program it in the beginning, they have to program it based on what they want to pull out of it. So they'll say something like, okay, I only want to know what the Western Catholic division of such and such says about reference Father Ignatius, Magnus, and you have to be selective about where it gets this information. You can just say, I'm going to talk about the New Testament. I'm going to ask questions about the New Testament, and I only want you to give me the answers based on the language based on the words used and the range and possibilities of those words. Do you understand what I'm saying? That's very, very broad. But at the same time, exact. You're not telling it what to agree with and what not to agree with. You're telling it, give me the answers in the language used. And that's it. That is a dreadnought that you can use that could just destroy everyone else. They won't believe it, but that's not what we're here for, are we? We're here to learn and to understand what was said as best as we can. And then we get together and we talk about it. Right? That's what this tool's for. I use it when I don't know anything at all, and I kind of say, what? Someone said something about the Old Testament, the covenant lasting forever. What was that? And then I'll start to dig away, and it will give me kind of like finding a needle in a haystack. And then I'll start to study. And then I'll come back and say, okay, this is what I've learned, and blah. Well, what about this, and what about that? All these scenarios. Well, my pastor said this. Well, some guy, I watched a video, and he said that, blah, 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 blah. And then I saw this Friederson chick, and she said blah, 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 blah. And, you'll find out that all the things that they say are bullshit. I'll do it right now. Probably going to make a noise. All right, that looks like her, right? But her core conclusions go beyond what the data strictly prove. So right now it's disagreeing with me. So that's what I'm saying. It's just giving you the answer. Obviously, I have an axe to grind with her. But this is telling me not necessarily. Short answer, worse. Methodology. I don't even know what the hell that word means. Methodologically. Why ermines are less bad. I mean, just... Correct. And you see what I'm saying? These people write all this material and they go on and on and on and on and on and on and on for hours about God knows what. Especially this Wolf chick. I mean, I don't know what she's saying. I don't even know what Armin's saying half the time. But at least he's a little more coherent. And that's why I think was put up at the top, because he just has a style that kind of you can listen to. You don't get bored class around him. He's a showman. He's a stand-up philosopher. But you could tell neither of them are correct in the strict sense of being forced by what the New Testament actually says. Do you see what I'm saying here? I mean, it just defended her. And that's fine. It will give you an answer. It's not going to kiss your ass all the time because I programmed it not to. Just give me the truth. And you can program it to tell you the truth. This is the first time I've ever looked her up. No, but her conclusions are still not compelled by the New Testament itself. Her is stronger than Walsh and more disciplined than Ehrman, and some is, yet she still imports historical reconstructions that outrun the text. That statement is too strong. But yes, she is not authoritative on the New Testament itself. Stakes at the level you care about, so it is kissing my rear end. But I have a high threshold for honesty. Just tell me what it says. If a word means this, then that's what it means. If it says Jesus is a purple dinosaur, then that's what I'm going to believe. If that's what it really says. I don't care what it says. The rapture's true? Okay. Fine. But it says the rapture is not true. So I don't believe it. But I learned this stuff. So embrace it. Don't get frustrated. Just embrace it. Listen to what they have to say. And you can use things like this to help you out. I got to knock her a little more. No, she is not accurate in the sense of the internal reality of the New Testament. I mean, you see what I'm saying? See how all these people fail? And you got to be careful too. So what you're saying is an accurate in the sense, I mean, you got to be careful. Make sure you read what you're putting in there, because I don't know how to describe myself. That's why I've had a bad haircut all my life. I can't explain myself, as you can clearly see by watching these videos. Sometimes you'll say a word and it will pick it up as a different word. So just be careful. But don't sit there and ask questions over and over and over until you get the answer that you want. Because you're looking for the truth, not your truth. But it still disagreed with what I said. I think I was saying something positive. No, she is not accurate in the sense of the internal reality of the New Testament. So basically, all these people are frauds. Oh, they're PhDs, they're doctor. I got a doctor in Jesusology. I mean, did Jesus say that? Go out and get degrees, doctorates, so you can tell people a bunch of things that aren't even real. And that's what this is, folks. Judaism isn't real. The Muslim religion isn't real. It's all nonsense. There is a God, but you can't find him, in this mess. And trust me, it's a lot messier than this, right? This is your reality. This is where you're stuck. That's my cat. It's like, what is that? This is where you're stuck, in here. But if you look to your right, oh, what's that? What is that? A little bit of light. I wonder what that is. That's God. You aren't going to find him right in front of you. You have to turn your back on this world to see him. That's where it's at. Boom. That means God. This is the narrow door that Jesus was talking about in Matthew 7 and Luke. But, there's your grandma. Maybe grandma and grandpa. We're waiting for you. That's how you need to go. You need to talk. You need to talk to God. You have to work it out with him. If you believe in him, you'll talk to him. Just like I've been talking to you. How I'm talking to you right now through this entire video is exactly how I talk to God. What about this? Why, this, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I even ask him how he's doing. You ever ask God how he's doing? Hey, God, Father, how are you today? What have you been up to? You don't talk at him, you talk with him. It's just like going up to someone and asking a bunch of questions, and he just sits there patiently and waits for you to stop talking and then begins to answer you. That's what it is. But he answers you through things that happen in your life. And they're undeniable. They're undeniable, folks. That's how I can prove God is real. By my experience. How did I figure out that the New Jerusalem is not the same as the Jerusalem as described in 21:10 and on? And that Jerusalem is the replacement for the physical temple. And that the kingdom of God has been here for 2,000 years. There's no books that contain that. There's no books, there's no view anywhere on this planet that contains that information. I asked even GTP, I've asked Bart Ehrman, I've asked James Tabor, I asked them all. There's nothing that exists. When I talked to ChatGTP the first time, it disagreed with me on so many levels. After about an hour or two, all of a sudden, oh yeah, that does work. Yes, that is possible. That's not the view, but yes. And then I talked to him more and more and more and more, he or she or it, or whatever you want to call it, he, she, them. And all of a sudden it's like, yes, that all works. What part is wrong? Well, maybe this or that, well, that's not really a big deal. That doesn't stop what I'm thinking, right? That doesn't invalidate it. No, it doesn't. But it didn't know that. It had no idea of what I was talking about when I said it. Until I condensed it down and says, we're just talking about the language here. We're just talking about what it says and what it doesn't say. I don't care what Bart Ehrman says or the Pope says or what some church father, 1,800 years ago said, or Martin Luther. What does the language and the words used say in this passage, in this chapter, in this book? What does it say? And it agrees. It agrees 100%. I'm more right than Bart Ehrman. How did that happen? It's because I asked and I got an answer. That's it. That's all. And it's not for information. It's not so you can go around and be a big shot, because obviously I'm not. And I never will be. The fact that I have I don't know how it happened, but I got 250, 300 or something like that subscribers. I don't know who these people are. And I doubt those people are even listening to me. I was happy with 20 or 7 or whatever it really is. I don't want to be known. I'd like to meet you just to discuss what you've learned, where you're at, and what I've learned. Obviously what I've learned, because I'm a big mouth. I like to hear myself talk. How is that even possible? Think about that. That is proof of God. You may not agree with what I said. And no one else really does either. Even ChatGTP. Artificial intelligence. Google, I've talked to them all. But I'm not wrong. Now, how is that possible? And how come no one else notices? It's because the confusion is on purpose. And until you turn and ask him, you will not know. And the ones that are starting to figure it out are in. You're in the system. It's not knowledge. It's salvation. You have reached salvation. That's what this life is for. That's why you were born into this world. For a simple yes or no. People got on their knees before Jesus and said, "Please cure me." Jesus would say in some parts, "Do you believe that I am he who sent?" I am the one who he sent. And they say yes. And they're cured. That's how simple it is. That's all it is. Do you believe, yes or no? Good. Don't sin anymore. And don't tell anyone, in some cases. Don't tell anyone. It's too early. Right? The guy's on his knees saying, well, I kind of have an issue with something you said and Paul said. In Romans 9:13, he said, and you said, and, I don't know, Jesus, kind of got, Luke has this account of your genealogy, and then Matthew has a different one. I don't know, Jesus. I believe in you, but I got issues. That's not how it works. Either you believe him or not. You start in with that nonsense, and you're not serious. You're not gonna make it in. That's what it takes. It's like Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade. That part where he puts his foot up and he's about ready to fall into that cave between him and the other side, and then he takes a leap of faith and he lands on a bridge that becomes visible. Something that you couldn't see before. He came in, he looked around, he didn't see it, but his faith led him to see what others could not see. To realize that this is dog shit. And you look to the right and you see a trickle of light in the darkness. What is that? What is that light? I'm curious. And it builds and builds and builds and builds. And you see that, yes, this is it. This is it. That's you. Yes. Hey, that's Grandma and Grandpa. I'm going to go get some candy. I'm going to go get some candy off of them. Grandma always has candy in her purse. Right? It's not in front of you. It's behind you. Come on, cooperate. It's behind you. What you think is normal, what you think is how things work, it's not. The people that are have inundated our universities, they're morons. Absolute fucking morons. The stupidest people and it's all on purpose because they hate you. Don't even get me started with the Jewish stuff. Because guess what? All those people are Jews. But they're not Jews. But they are. It's weird. I don't understand it. They're like crypto Jews. Judaism is not out to get you. But guess what? It is. It's kind of like that saying, not all Muslims are terrorists, but all terrorists are Muslims. Remember, we used to say that in the military when I was fighting the war on terror. The Soviets came in, when they came in, what the 20s, 1920s, it was the first thing they do. They go to universities and they kill everyone. Why? Because they're teaching them stuff that they don't want to. They don't want their people to be taught. And Nazi Germany, the same thing, but with the added emphasis that the Jews and these communists are brainwashing their people, and they were. The Marxism. They even today they have like a statue of Karl Marx somewhere in Berlin. I don't know where it is. I think it's where he lived or something. Karl Marx. I mean, just a loser. He's like one of, if it was modern times, he'd be like one of those people at the ICE rallies. I mean, just, a deadbeat loser with no job and just complaints, from here to Timbuktu. Never did anything with his life. Never did it, but for some reason everyone thinks he's a great guy. Just like the Che Guevara, people walk around with his t-shirt. The guy was a rapist or a murderer, but he's a great guy. But Trump's bad, and Trump's bad, and Bush is bad, and Jesus is bad, and, wham, 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 wham. But Karl Marx is good. And that's why they got rid of those people. And it's exact same thing now in our universities. We have all these dipshits who don't even begin to tell you anything about what is factual. They give you their reality, which is not reality. and then your life sucks, and you start doing drugs, and everything's horrible, and you become an atheist, just like everyone else, like the Karl Marx, and you sit here and you whine and complain about even more stuff, and then you start a YouTube channel, and you're there for 9 hours talking to complete strangers about how God isn't real, and because you care so much, right? I mean, if I became an atheist, I would go do something. I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to go on a trip around the world. I'm gonna go do something. I'm gonna go cure cancer. I'm gonna go do something else. Okay? I'm not even gonna talk about religion anymore or Jesus. I'm gonna do something else. But no, these people, they hate him, but that's all they talk about. They have Jesus derangement syndrome, God derangement syndrome, right? Like that. And then they say all these things that aren't true. Oh, and that's what a lot of these people do. The James Tabor, that Walsh chick. Oh, the old covenant's real and it's going to rebuild itself and we're going to get the tip. It's all nonsense. It's a lie. It's the biggest lie you could ever tell. And then some political group comes to power, takes them out, and blows their heads off, and I'm supposed to feel sorry for them? It's an overreaction, of course. But that's why Pol Pot did the same thing. He went even more extreme. Anyone with glasses was to be shot. Stalin killed everyone. It didn't matter who you were. And the Nazis were just ideological. All Jews are bad, which is ridiculous. Anyone can be anything. And they could come from anywhere. And they could be anybody. There's a black guy somewhere in the South right now who's a member of the Ku Klux Klan and a neo-Nazi. Okay? There's some guy walking around the streets of England who is a liberal Muslim suicide bomber. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you're Jewish. I have Jewish friends, and to be honest with you, I'm Jewish, if you think about it, because I'm an Israelite. I'm more Jewish than a Jew. I'm the real Jew. But I'm not Jewish. But I am a part of Israel. They are not. If you want to call it that, which it is. I've been grafted onto the branch. That's an analogy. They've been cut off. So really, their identity is nothing. Their identity is made up too. That's why they suck so much ass. I hope these things that I say are more good than bad. It's more of a pep talk for people that actually do care. Because so many people don't. And they'll mislead you. And that's on purpose. And the only way you're going to see through it is because God shows you the truth of it. But you cannot do it without him. He is the greatest teacher ever. And he's yours. And he's waiting for you.